and welcome back to my vlog. Today I wanted to talk about a few different points about weight loss and the weight loss journey, especially as it relates to our overall emotional health and the role that sleep plays in both our emotional health as well as the journey we undertake to release weight. Now, sleep is a very integral part of our overall daily habit. It literally represents close to a third of our life that we'll be spending in the process of sleeping. And the importance for this, the reason why we spend so much time with this is really it's a reparative function of both our overall physical and our emotional health. And when we begin to take a look at the emotional state that's there, we begin to see that the effects that sleep has, as well as sleep deprivation could have on our emotional state, can lead to other physiological problems on the physical realm and even the spiritual realm. And so today I thought it would be important to talk a little bit about sleep and its effect on our emotional health, as well as the capacity that sleep problems can play within weight gain and loss. And so I want to first start out with this concept that I came across, that was a few years ago. It's called the Rule of Three. And really, the Rule of Three breaks down our day into three segments. And so when a doctor recommends that you get 8 hours of sleep and a regular workday is 8 hours, that leaves 8 hours for play or family time or reparation. And so the first eight is, of course, the sleep part, because really what the sleep does, it builds the energy stores both physically and psychologically to move the process into the and to develop the energy to get through the next 16 hours. And once we have that energy present, we can begin to utilize the next 16 hours of the day to engage in the tasks that we're meant to do. Now, 8 of those hours we usually gear for work. Now, this isn't a perfect scenario. Sometimes you may get less sleep. That's why a doctor will recommend adults get 6 to 8. You may get a little more sleep. You may work a little more or you may work a little less. The key here is to try and find balance. If you see one end of the spectrum totally going off to the other side, there's a problem that needs to be examined and taken into account, because really you're robbing other areas of your life, and that's where a lot of the stress and the mental health problems that we see occurring around us come from. And so when we get a lot less sleep, what happens is our storehouse of energy is tapped. And when our storehouse of energy is tapped, the emotions begin to go down. And of course, we begin to reach for foods that are more starchy or more sugary in nature, because they release immediate stores of energy. But the problem is you spike up and then you shoot down very quickly. That's how your body processes sugar over the long run. And so when that happens, of course, you get in the habit of eating more for fast energy bursts, but it doesn't last you through the day, where it's more of a prolonged effect. And that's really the place where sleep can begin to affect weight gain. And so as we begin to take a look at finding happy mediums here, it really is to look at the overall day from a perspective that leads to a more holistic sense of health. Now, how does sleep and how does sleep affect our emotional health? Well, when we tend to be tired, we tend to be edgy and we tend to jump on more things. And when we are in a negative psychological state, what ends up happening is we begin to reach for things that are easy access to make us feel better. And food, a lot of times, is one of those comfort items that brings the mood up, but also could begin to shoot it down depending on the type of food that's present. And so part of this, when you begin to lack sleep, hormones are being released by the body, stating that it needs to tap into the reserves of energy. The fuel is running low, so we need to tap into the reserve tank. Well, that automatically triggers the brain to think it's hungry and then reach for things that release quick energy. And so part of this is really to integrate a healthy sleep pattern into the mix of our normal day-to-day life to jumpstart our day in a proper fashion and to utilize it as a means to eventually move towards our goal, which maybe it's weight loss or weight maintenance, as well as to feel the correct amounts of energy moving forward to take part in our normal work day, as well as our family day. And so this is the way that sleep can affect our overall emotional health, our mental health, our psychological state, as well as our journey to lose weight. And so I wanted to touch base with everyone and talk a little bit about the importance of sleep. If you're an adult, I recommend getting anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. If you're in adolescence, you may sleep a little bit longer, maybe 8 to 10. And so it really is dependent, but the key here is to try and find that happy, balanced lifestyle. The rule of three, 8, 8, and 8, 8 hours for play, 8 hours for work, 8 hours for sleep. But if you give or take an hour here or there, that's fine also, because sometimes you need those just within the context of your own schedule. But don't assume that if one's lopsided, like 14 hours in work versus 6 hours of sleep and 4 hours of play, that you're going to be able to carry out that capacity for long, because that's really where the source of stress comes from, where the source of mental health comes from, the source of edginess, and also it really leads into a lot of the symptoms that we see common with depression and anxiety. And so if you have questions, I look forward to hearing your response, and I'd be happy to share my responses to any questions on a forum such as this. Anyways, until next time, I hope you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams, and we'll talk soon. Goodbye.